Oh boy, busy, busy, busy. Roll on the 2nd of June when I go away. It's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. Um, aside from that, I was asked to look at Carney's body language. Now, bigger picture needs to be realised. Context is everything. Yes, I'm going to look at Carney's body language when he visits the Oval Office. However, we need to be looking at Trump's as well. People's body language is driven by how they feel about certain things, what they're thinking, and the context of the situation, the environment, and particularly within the environment, how other people are interacting around them, which really drove Carney's body language here and there. Carney has a lot of self-control. It shows. Both Trump and Carney had some mild self-soothing gestures, understandable. But the difference being, Carney would probably be saying, "Yeah, I was a bit nervous." Trump would never say that because he thinks that's a sign of weakness. It takes a stronger person to say, "Yeah, my bad, this and that." But looking at Trump, you lose words, don't you? The man's ridiculous. America's ridiculous, but let's try not to go off on a tangent too much. I mean, yeah, just try not to go on a tangent too much. Trump is extremely childlike. This whole thing with trying to annex Canada, what's in it? What's driving it? You're going to struggle to wrap your brain around this. Because time and time and time again, it just looks like, oh, it just looks better. That's it. And I'm convinced that is it. And you might be thinking, well, what's he thinking? He's going to have more resources? No. Stop. Stop there with anything deeper than oh, he thinks it just looks better on a map without the border. That's why he keeps going on and on about this line. And he would go on and on about, somebody drew this artificial line. But he also go on and on about, I hope you like the Oval Office. We redecorated. And he'll also go on and on about planes that are stealth look ugly. He wanted to annex Iceland, was it? Or was it Greenland? Regardless, I think it was Iceland. And he would say, oh, beautiful country. It just has, because he's an ugly person on the inside and outside, what he thinks is aesthetically appealing. Really, the majority won't really like. I think the Oval Office looks gross and disgusting. And he just goes on and on about, how much money something is. The more money there is, the more he thinks he's in. It's a flex. Just like waving his dick around like he's some kind of strong, confident individual. But this is the thing of today's world. Such weak people given such ability to have positions of power poison everything around them, even within just social groups, family groups, social friends and family. It's always the weakest person that pretends to be, deludes themselves that they're just awesome, fuck everything up around them. And it's really detrimental to anyone else who's grounded, and the people who are more grounded end up losing it because they're so pissed off with this. And we really need to stop giving people such leeway. again, trying not to go off on too much of a tangent, or I'll briefly say America's law system is too fucking slow. Also, you really shouldn't have allowed such idiots to be involved in the politics in the first place. The UK really shouldn't be allowing idiots like Nigel Farage to be allowed in politics in the first place, because he's a fascist. And yeah, I mean, the UK, World War II, fought against fascists then, as a big clue that we really shouldn't be voting for fascists now. And America shouldn't be voting for fascists. Anyway, let's have a look, shall we? I need to drag this over to this screen, because if I use a big screen, it's a little bit too much for my PC, and you get OBS will lose some frames on the screen capture there. So I'll transition that over. So as the beginning of the meeting for the press outside, and instantly, right away, I haven't seen the whole thing, I've seen bits, and scrolled through, I skipped through, seen clips here and there. Right away, this idiot like a child can't keep still, Trump I mean, when the car pulls up and likes to, well, transition again, I'll just briefly describe that. If we're in social discourse, like maybe, I don't know, at a public bars in UK or meeting places or restaurants, whatever, social hubs, and I'm this side of the table and you're that side of the table, and we're talking, discussing, I can have and if the conversation's going well, I can have naturally I will have my torso square with yours. I'll be sat, I won't be what's known as blading, looking, panning around. Oh, I hope these people are interested in me. These like this. I'll be more interested in the person in front of me, and that becomes very evident right a lot through this, where Trump is performative. He's always performative for the camera. Not that he performs well. He's just performs for the addiction that he has for being noticed, because he craves and grovels and begs. He begs and begs and begs for that narcissistic supply. So he'd be stood there and you'll see him blading, looking around, all the press are here and doing this weird fun thing. Trump's fist bump in the air. This just looks weak. Whatever happened to Yes, guy's weird and gross, creepy, disgusting. All the layers of wrong here. Just so many layers. Let's transition again, going back. So that's blading. I've mentioned it before, but never really went into it in a response video when Cheshire was live. So this has got, well, it was months ago, sometime, or it was last year. It might have even have been the year before that. Regardless, that's what blading is, when people twist the torso a little bit as well. Well, we'll pick up on, we elaborate on blading a bit further into the video. There's so much in body language that really needs to be looked at, not just one singular body language cue, but you really need to look at clusters and different cues that are being done all at once, and the context, which will help underline and crystallize your interpretation of why somebody's doing something. Body language on its own without the context is not too good a reading, because you need the reasons for people feeling like they are feeling and how they're expressing. So you need to context, information about the environment, what they're doing, why they're there, and so on. So I'll mute myself a bit here and then press play. And there's the blading. I'm going to present myself to the cameras. No, just stand still and wait for Carney. You, you know? Hey, look at me. I hope the cameras are catching me in my best side, the right angle. I'm going to look thoughtful. It's all just typical superficialness, shallowness. There's the thumb. It's very performative. He just can't help himself. Hmm. I do like the fact that Canadian flag is on the left of the car, the vehicle putting up, not just two American flags. And the got a Canadian flag out. It's in your face all the time. You just can't escape. It's a flag in your face all the time. And grandiose America is so great. All the brainwashing America really, really did a number on America. But again, I'm going to try not to go on a tangent too much, right? The superficial shallowness then of America produces idiots like Trump. He's a product of a deeper cause. That really needs to be realized. Got a big problem, America. And it's not just Trump. It's everything about America. It's just it really is a disgusting country. Sorry, but it is. And it might hurt hearing it because for lifetimes you've always heard that it's so great. And you have to mantra every day in school. You pledge allegiance and all this to the republic that the flag stands for, not the democracy. But then democracy and the democratic and republic, they got similarities. America kind of has done both. Here comes the firm handshake, and every single time he does, he pats the person on the other arm. No matter who he's having a handshake with. And he likes to handshake and pull them in a bit as well. And that's just a flex. It's just his addiction to trying to look confident. Why? Because he's not confident. That's why. wants to advertise the world that he's such a effective person, but he's very ineffective. Look, we're shaking hands. Look straight at the camera. Carney is not too bothered about the cameras. Carney is more interested in talking to Trump. And they're emphasizing that now because it's important once they sit and they're talking as well. Trump says, hey, look, the Prime Minister of Canada is here, and we got it being recorded for the media outside. You know, what strikes me a lot is when leaders meet whoever's in power at the time in UK. We have Keir Starmer at the moment. You get media outside. We don't do much performative on the outside. You'll get media shouting questions and all this. Media tend to be mostly ignored and say, come on, let's go in. And they go in. And when they come back out, then they might give media some questions. But it was all performative. It was media on the outside and media on the inside talking. And you do get media on the inside. So sometimes when the leaders are talking at number 10 down the street in the UK. But yeah, it's again, this is America. Entertain people, get them consuming, but facts. You don't want people understanding what they're really going on. And look at it. Look at the reason what that does to people. What it does to a country. Look, cameras. So Carney turns around only when he's gestured or asked to. Again, Carney's more interested in talking to Trump and getting issues sorted. And Carney's laughing and reciprocates for the fist bump. It's like, and the way Carney is a smart guy. The way he almost, it's like very subtle and yet powerful at the same time in the way he's communicating to people with an IQ above dirt. Because he knows this is going to go through the media on YouTube and other outlets later anyway. And his smile is like, look at this idiot. Let me do the fist bump as well because Trump's doing it. I'm just here to talk and yeah. Again, it was the right thing for Carney to do to come in because Trump. Well, again, let's not go on too much of a tangent. Again, with that, he's obsessed with that, but it doesn't work. It works in some situations when you tap somebody on the forearm here and there. It's a power move. There's a lot of psychology in that. In certain environments, you can get people more cooperative from you if you tap their forearm, mostly subtly, even without them knowing as well. It's kind of one of the influences of those things that are embedded into us a lot from our more primal kind of stance, early origins. There's a lot in body language and behavior that is an overthrow from our earliest origins. We evolved as very social species and certainly used our hands a lot to give and take from each other, goods and so on. So you could be, if someone's like deep in a phone call or whatever, and you walked up to them handing them something, if they're more focused on the phone call, chances are you handing them something, they'll probably take it from you even without thinking, and then discover, oh, where did I get this? And other sorts of, I don't want to say tricks too much, other oddities. It seems odd. Why would you take something from a stranger? But it's there. It's embedded into us a lot of different things here and there, which is a lot of my analysis is on a bigger picture of human behavior overall, not just the body language. Because as soon as you get into this, you really already know that you're analyzing human behavior, but it becomes very much more obvious and it gets underlined for you in your mind a lot more. Look up Chase Hughes. He's written some stuff that is... Well, he's written some things that are very, very powerful and educational on human behavior overall. And he ties it in with body language as well. And Chase Hughes, genius in his own right. Let's play a bit more. That's a lot of people just going in just to see, just to... Yeah, man. America. For fuck's sake. Stop pretending to be something that you're not, and then you won't be degrading, like I said in a previous video, with holes in your ship. You admire the view of your successes for too long, and then forgot what the successes were. And it just becomes this superficial, shallow, tacky crap. Bigger, better. No. Quality over quantity. Maintain the quality of things. You know, your integrity and so on. And that ain't gonna have that. Trump's got no integrity whatsoever. Who are all these people? Some of them Secret Service, I guess, or security. Oh, we got a blank bit there. That's... maybe I got the wrong video. I hope not. Please don't fuck that up now. There we go. They're inside. We go from there. So they're finally inside with media or everywhere like ants. Oh, was that Trump's like PR bitch? On the right there. Yeah, well, you missed it just... Oh, you might have missed it, but all I can say about her is she shows all the signs, I think so, of sociopathy. And she's just acting as well, and just riding this thing out to protect herself. She doesn't even believe the bullshit that she says. that bitch on the right hand corner there, if it's her, that is. Can't really see too much anyway. Very dark. Oh, there we go. So that's a good pause right there. Anyone who knows again about blading, body language, and the most honest part of your body really would be your feet, the direction they're pointing in, and the feet do a lot more than just point. They twist and move because there's an ankle joint there, and if your foot's pointing upwards in mid-conversation, you're feeling good about the conversation. Regardless of that, look at Trump. His torso flat with the cameras ahead of him. We just seen how much media gone in, microphones and whatnot. And his feet firm on the ground, probably pointing towards the cameras, not carny. Both Carney and himself have hands in front of the crotch area. Carney is doing a bit of self-soothing there, a little bit, but it's not a huge amount. But you would be nervous around Trump, not because he's a powerful person, but you don't know what he's going to come out with next. Some garbage bullshit thing. And will he complain? Will he bitch? Will he berate Carney? You might be thinking if you saw this for the first time, because he berated and just was very disgusting with Zelensky, him, and what's the other idiot that was sat on a sofa? I've forgotten his name. His name's escaping me now. Who is sat there as well? The Oval Office looks gross and disgusting. It looks like a Third Reich eagle there. Nazi. It's fucking hell. So, Carney, though, by contrast, so Trump's torso body is so flat with the cameras face immediately facing him, he has to turn his head to pay attention to Carney more than Carney has to turn his head to pay attention to Trump. Carney's torso is leaning towards Trump. Carney is there for the conversation, not the performative bullshit for the media. Carney is self-soothing a little bit loosely. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Andrew Tate, they all do the steeple gesture, but they all do it wrong. And even when Musk is doing it somewhat right, and there's no correct and wrong way to do it in like a conscious effort. It's more, if it's left alone more unconsciously, you're not going to see, it's not going to look wrong. But the Trump, Musk, and Tate always do the steeple gesture in front of their crotch. You've seen me, when I lean in on my desk a bit, do steeple gesture, and I'll just transition. I've seen Chesh do steeple gesture, sometimes loosely, and it's kind of like this. You're generally talking, your hand gestures, and you're doing this. What we're going to do next, you might be talking about what your plans are or something. So with that in mind, what we're going to do next, and it'd be like kind of like that, and it'd be loose and all that. Elon Musk is very robotically controlled, and he'll do this in front of him, and he'll walk around and go and look around, try and acknowledge people. It just looks wrong and awkward when he's standing up, but he'll do this in front of his nuts and be very stiff as well. Tate will sit up bolt right, very, very stiff. There's no fluidity in the body language, and he will be pressing those fingers together really, really tight. So he's trying to hide his anxiety via the pressure he's putting into that. Because he's a weak fuckwit that pretends to be so alpha male. Again, these weak people, given ability to have some influence here, ruin everything for other people. And we need to stop giving these idiots such control. Let's transition back. So I hope you're learning something here. Yeah, it's a natural protective thing. Is covering the genital area. Women will cover like just, I don't know how to describe it. It'd be like a fig leaf effect with men, and it's an arm leaning in front of you while the other arm loosely holds that arm. You just like you're protecting the womb kind of area in women. So it's a little bit different for women when you're standing, that is, and doing that. And I've seen that a lot around Trump in press releases and people's feet just pointing away from Trump while doing so, blading away, more interested in their social group, while Trump's walking around bullshitting, talking about whatever he's talking about. Yeah, it's very. You learn more and more. There's always something to learn. There he goes. He's too worried about what's in front. Carney's leaning off the, and he will joke about that. He's on the edge of his seat. He's leaning on the edge of the seat, leaning towards Trump. But Trump is now leaning a little bit away from Carney. And that's not a mistake, if you will. That's not even, you know, people lean away and point the feet away from things that they don't really want to interact with, but he's doing this anyway because he thinks it's going to make him look like, or agree to do this anyway, and make him look like some better somehow, but body language doesn't lie. He's always something, you can try and fake a smile. Fake smiles, by the way, are not really necessarily signs of deceit. But, again, where I'm going, you can fake many things, but there's always some leakage that would contradict what you're trying to portray in your body language. So you see that lean towards Trump's left. He's leaning towards his left a bit. Khan is leaning forward towards Trump. Oh, he leans back again, though. And all while, there's the fake, I call that a fake steeple gesture. You'll find Musk, Trump, and Tate have probably heard about the steeple gesture means the person's confident. But it doesn't work if you're not confident, because there's other contradictions that arise when they're steeple gesturing anyway. Right? So this is why they do it anyway. You see this a lot, and it always, you wonder why it looks wrong, is because of these other contradictions. Even if you don't know too much about what each body language aspect means or could be translated to, you'll feel intuitively. That's your mammalian level of your brain, which is, Chase Hughes says, it is always observing all the time. It evolved before the neocortex. When the neocortex is the more, let's say, the human aspect of our brains, in which it's we interpret language and higher thinking, critical analysis, but the mammalian brain is emotional and gives you that intuitive something's not right here. with the proper education on the body language traits, it gives you an answer as to why. The problem with the mammalian level of our brain, it doesn't have a language in like spoken words. If it could communicate directly with our higher parts of our brain, the more complex thinking, we would be geniuses at reading each other. But then, if we were such geniuses at reading each other, there would be something else to evolve to try and hide some of these things, I guess. We're complicated creatures, right? Or at least more complicated than we can understand in the moment, maybe. But there's ways to put it apart, maybe after the fact, and sometimes in the moment to analyze each other to better understand each other. It's very telling, though, isn't it? There's Carney eager, obviously, for the conversation, and Trump is like, he's looking around. He wants the cameras to notice him. His torso is facing the cameras. His feet are all this way, and there's Carney leaning in towards Trump on the edge of his seat. Yeah, and he jokes about that. What's the volume? I need the volume up here. Maybe a bit higher. So Kai is waiting patiently here. The self-control of this man is alt. So Carney's looked at Trump leaning in, and then looked at the media, and looked at Trump again, and looked back at the media. He's waiting. He's like, "Come on, can we stop this? Let them do what they want and just start talking. You shouldn't be waiting for them. They're there to talk." That's what Carney's thinking. But Trump's thinking, right, I want to wait till everyone's ready to do his act. Because a narcissist just acts. He's fake. He's full of shit. Carney, however, very intelligent individual and a lot of self-control. You notice as well, I'll briefly talk about it. Do this experiment when you're out and about. If it's a relatively friendly neighborhood and you're relatively good at reading people, if they look a bit dangerous walking by you, don't do this thing towards them, but do it with somebody that just doesn't look too dangerous, okay? And basically flash your eyebrows, raise your eyebrows. Again, I'll just switch over to give you an example. So when you're walking by and somebody else is walking by in the street, look and go, you know how friends acknowledge each other sometimes? Hey, how's it doing? But you just do that. Chances are, don't be creepy about it. Just if you can do it subtly and all this, great. Chances are they reciprocate and do it back, even probably without knowing they even did. Is again going back to our early origins. This exists in some baboon species out there. They looking around, and you see these wildlife documentaries. A baboon looking around, and you've got all this fur brow going up and down, like, acknowledge. Yeah, it's looking for acknowledgement and acknowledging the other person. Again, I've paused this And look at Trump. What a weak, disgusting shithead. Fair play. Carney sat up, not stiff, bolt upright, but upright. Relaxing again, looking at Trump, or looking that way, expecting something to happen, some conversation, get on with it, kind of attitude. It's like he's waiting. But you know, again, talking about the social thing, look at Carney's forehead. There's a line wrinkle above. When you see those lines that get etched into the face as we get older, it's very telling how the character is. You see lines etched in Trump's forehead more akin to frowning. But Carney has the social cue kind of thing. Carney is a very welcoming social individual. And that's very evident with many things he's done. The public talks he's done. Look at the Canadian media here and there. Whereas Trump, looking down at the floor, compressing his lips because he wants to say something, but he's holding back. He probably wants to say, hurry up and get your media ready because, you know, this is about me. It's not about him, but, you know, a narcissist typically wants to have everything about them. And there's a little bit, both Carney and Trump are doing a little bit of loose self-soothing with their hands there in front of the genital area. Which is fine, it's quite natural. It's not like Aaron Costello intensity, where the hands are so clasping each other very intensely that you end up with the tips of the fingers turning red. It's not like that. Aaron Costello is a weak-minded individual for sure. And so is Trump, of course. But yeah, he poisons everything he touches, including his own economy, his own country. So he's looking at the ground about this, you know, in this clip as well. Not really making eye contact. Not a sign of confidence. Whereas Carney is looking around attentively with a bit of discontent, a bit of contempt at the situation, because that's what the curl on one side of his mouth is. It's like, are we going to get on with this? He's getting impatient. I'm pouting, yeah. But Trump's like a slouchy kind of, and whereas Carney is more upright, head upright as well. There's a dickhead in my town who once threatened to beat me up off a bus because he's briefly a transition again. We're getting to this, don't worry. But I feel like all of these things are important to educate people on some of these body language cues. Now, this is idiot lives in this small rural town, very cocky and bad mouthy, bit of a bully. One day, it's just a bus, double decker, hardly anybody on there, just a small group of people ready to get on. So, yes, we do traditionally queue a lot in the UK and give respect to who's there first, let them go. But really, it's a bus with hardly anyone on, double decker. And he's done this before and a number of other annoyance things. And he approached me, he said, "Oh, so and so behind you and all that. Let's go order a." Trying to make a big thing about who should get on first or who should be behind who. And I just looked at him and said, "Give it a rest, you prick. You know, you're just a pretentious idiot." And I saw the double blink, trouble blinking effect after I told him, you know, because he's annoyed people before. He's come into the shop before and mumbled like, "Oh, I ain't gonna fucking smile then," to one of my work colleagues. And yeah, every time he's confronted, he gets all bitchy, and then nothing happens. So I got on whenever I wanted to get on. Everybody else was fine. There was plenty of spaces, plenty of room. There's people far older than me, but they were fine. They were doing their own thing. They had to be like, "I'm the boss, I'm in control" kind of attitude. And did that. I went upstairs, the double decker. There was, I had Cheers Drive, which is just the way I talk. It's just don't know the name of the driver. And Cheers Drive would be just friendly banter. Just cheers, buddy, whatever. And I hear this stomping up the stairs. When you get off the bus, I'm gonna knock you out. So I calmly went, "Yeah, all right, I'll be waiting." Yeah. While walking back down, says again, "When you get off the bus." When someone's walking away from you, again, another thing about human behavior, they're walking away from you and sending a threat. Not gonna happen, He got off the bus before I got off the bus. He got off a stop earlier than I normally get. I've seen him come and go before. He knows I've come and gone on the same bus before. And I just said to the driver, "Did you hear all that?" So I heard him shouting about getting off the bus, and I described it. I said, "I'm not bothered, but somebody else who might be bothered with it." So he had a warning, because there's CCTV on the bus. Whether they recorded that or not, I don't know. But he was told, "I got you on camera, threatening to beat another customer up." So I would look at him occasionally, coming and going, and he'd just deliberately look the other way, pretended to be interested in something. You look the direction he's looking, nothing there. But the body language, Trump slouching, but the head up. And this idiot walking through town, he does this a lot, trying to look confident, his head up there, but his body is slouching, so he's trying to conversate. This is what I mean about fake body language cues. You can't fake, because there's some aspect of your body will come out, leak to the rest of the world that you're not as confident as you're pretending to be. As when people get that stoop, they're like this, or they're like that, and it just looks wrong. They end up with stoop later in life. Yeah. I saw him walk by, approaching a big crowd of young lads walking down, and be approaching, and he tried to get he buff himself up and looking. Well, they weren't all that frightening. They just high spirited. Coming down, I can observe things just from across the street from where I work. And one of them said to the other, he said, "What was that? That lad coming by." So, like this. Yeah, he's pretending, trying to look like he's in control and confident. Yeah. So, Trump's slouching a bit, but his hand up. If you're slouching and your hands up, you're not confident. If your torso isn't slouching and your hands up, not in a stiff robotic way like Andrew Tate does it, but a more flexible body language, flowing, kind of loose, you're more confident than the one trying to look up but slouching anyway. Just thought I'd share that with you. That's play. So here he is, Carney. Is he gonna be ready yet? Carney might be thinking, looking at Trump up and down, looking at what he's doing with his hands. He's like, "You gotta say something in a minute." And that would be, kind of takes a breath and looks across Okay, we're not ready yet. I'll wait. Carly's got a lot of self-control, and yeah. So look at Trump, look again. Carney obviously winked at somebody. I don't know whether part of the press, maybe somebody he knows. Do you see Carney lift himself up and go back down again? He's taking a deep breath there, and you think, I look over here then. Because Trump's not ready yet. And Trump just looking at the ground. Downturned mouth. Very sad, dejected look, really, if you ask me. Looks up. Carney is still looking around, waiting patiently. There's a lot to unpack here. A lot. There's a loads to unpack here. Carney's nervous smile. You gonna begin yet, or what? It's kind of Carney's nervous smile, I think. And you know, it's what humor is. Sometimes it's a release of nervous energy.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Finally.
It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Mark Carney with us. As you know, just a few days ago, we won a very big election.
Acknowledgement, nodding from Carney. As you know, you won elections, and nodding yes. And
Canada. And I think that was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't say for his party was losing by a lot. And he ended up winning, so I really want to congratulate him. It was probably one of the greatest comebacks.
Now, this is very telling. What was his name? Pierre Poilievre? Carney's opposition? And Trump says the words like, probably, you're trying to label Carney's win as associated, like, probably as good as Trump. So Trump there's nothing good about Trump. But see the lean left again to Trump's left? Trump's moving his body away from Carney. We've really, while looking at him, I wonder if there was some communication with Pierre Poilievre from Trump because he wants to annex Canada, which he doesn't shut up about, despite him saying, oh, we're not going to talk about that, and then starts raising it, keeps talking, not talking so much, but keeps hinting at it. So we'll see that again, both of them self-soothing in the same area of the body, self-soothing the hands. But again, I'd like to point out that's a very loose kind of self-soothing. A lot of people would do that anyway, regardless. The more intense it is, you can use it like a barometer, like if it's loose, it's fine, a little bit tighter, not so fine, and so on, right?
Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Mark Carney with us. As you know, just a few days ago, we won a very big election in Canada. And I think that was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't say for
Can't take it for credit. Huh. Can't take credit for that because it had nothing to do with you. Maybe it would have something to do with you if the other guy won. I do wonder.
His party was losing by a lot, and he ended up.
Because why would he bother saying his party was losing by a lot But really, what really won the election was because of the similarities of his opposition, the rhetoric, the bullshit, the emotional court talk, the smear campaigning of the opposition, smear campaigning of Carney, lack of detail, lack of depth, everything that's very Trump-esque, really. Yeah.
Up winning, so I really want to congratulate him. Probably one of the greatest comebacks in the history
See that, Lee?
of politics. Maybe even greater than mine.
Maybe even greater than mine. Trump, you're disgusting. Any opportunity for the narcissistic supply every single time. And Carney is really laughing at Trump here and closing his eyes with it and think, oh, this fucking idiot. That's how my interpretation here and there. And politely laughing along, perhaps. But like just offering some social etiquette, I guess. You know, just putting up with Trump, babysitting Trump as he's doing his narcissistic tripping himself out.
But I wanted to just congratulate you. That was a great election, actually. We were watching with interest.
Yeah, I bet you were watching it with interest. And you didn't want Carney to win. I don't think.
I think Canada chose a very talented person, a very good person. Who's been spoken before the election quite a few times. And it's an honor to have you at the White House in the Oval Office. You see the new and improved.
No, it's not improved. It looks gross. But again, Trump is obsessed by what he finds aesthetically appealing and keeps talking to people about that. You know, it's just planes, stealth planes that are ugly. Not a fan of stealth planes because they're ugly, but by design. It's like the stealth fighter is very angular because that dissipates radar return so much it doesn't aid pinpointing the craft too easily. Sure, such craft can be detected more accurately via heat signature. There's no such thing as perfect stealth. With that, there's always a way to detect, but regardless of that,
as it becomes more and more beautiful with love,
it doesn't look beautiful. It looks gross.
Handle it with great love and 24 karat gold. That always helps too.
Yeah. No. How about feeding some poor families with all that 24 karat gold? All these millions and billions wasted on superficial, physical crap. Shallow, tacky, superficial, capitalizing, entertain in a very superficial, weak, shallow ways. Get people addicted to, oh, it looks pretty, and no fuck all about it. It doesn't look pretty though, but that's the American way. Shallow, superficial. But screw the facts. You don't want to educate people because they might get too smart, and you can't control smarter people. You just want to keep them poor, controlled, and so on.
But it's been a lot of fun going over some of the beautiful pictures that were stored in the vaults that were for many.
You notice he talks about the people in these pictures, but he doesn't mention their names because he doesn't even know who they are. And he doesn't care to know who they are. Again, fuck the facts. Just get entertained and consume. And it's gone full circle. Your own leaders are that dumb now. Dumbed down America was dumbed down by corporations because they needed consumers to be addicted. Just keep consuming and not really think about anything else. Theme parks based on young Earth creationism. Great entertained here and there, thinking that the Earth is only a few thousand years old, but screw the real facts, right? Of course, that would be illegal in the UK because it would be a threat to the education system, and not in America, right?
Many years, in some cases over 100 years, they were stored in vaults of the great presidents or almost great presidents.
That's very telling. Pictures of great presidents. And then he looks at the grain of, or almost great presidents, because he's addicted to the idea of being the greatest. Or he's the worst president in history of America. I think the best. I mean, people might argue otherwise. Best president in history would be Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln.
All having a reason for being up, every one of them.
It's just looking at the ground when he talks about that is very telling. The timing is important. The very moment he says some of them the best, or the best, or some of them the best, and he looks right down at the ground.
And it's an honor to have you at the White House in the Oval Office. You see the new and improved Oval Office as it becomes more and more beautiful with love. We handle it with great love and 24-karat gold. That always helps too. But it's been a lot of fun going over some of the beautiful pictures that were stored in the vaults that were for many years. In some cases, over 100 years. They were stored in vaults of the great presidents or almost great presidents.
Yeah.
All having a reason for being up, every one of them.
They all have a reason being up, every one of them, and then looks right down again. And he won't be able to tell you what those reasons are. He doesn't even tell you what the names of them are, who's who. If somebody had credibility and IQ above that of dirt, would tell you this is whatever their name is, insert name, and that's whoever came after them and how long, what they did for the country and so on. But no, that would be removing attention away from Trump. It's all about him. I hope you like what we done with the Oval Office because of me. I'm amazing. Fuck off and just get out of the way of progress. Is what I'm thinking.
So it's very interesting. But I just want to congratulate you and
I want to. People when increase their blinking is anxiety. When they increase the blink rate above that which is the normal blink rate.
The great presidents or almost great presidents, all having a reason for being up, every one of them. So it's very interesting. But I just
watch him when he says, "I want to congratulate you."
Want to congratulate you and
a couple of blinks here and there. I really. And now you might think I'm splitting hairs here. I wouldn't be surprised if Pierre Poilievre was talking to him. It's like, you gotta win this, do that. It worked in the United States. Here's the thing though. Canadians are not as dumbed down as the average American. What bullshit worked in America doesn't necessarily work in Canada. I hate to say it, but it's true. I mean, they'd really done a number on Americans. Not every American fell for it. Some are more astute and more intelligent. But the dumbing down really had a side effect, and it's deliberate. Because the bigger, fatter corporations want that. They needed that. So-called social media platforms like Facebook, the first social media out there platform. They knew it was going to be addictive, but they didn't care. They just... But now today it's like Facebook. Who needs that? And it's no novelty anymore. Anyway, it's just like every social network is a dime a dozen. Whichever. But the attitude was, just Mark Zuckerberg. If you read the history of that, it came out of a college dorm project to stay in touch with his other fellow students, friends. And he was asked by one of the students, How do you know so much about just insert name? Well, he's on the Facebook. It was called the Facebook at that time. And all the dumb fucks keep putting their details on there anyway, was his wording. And he made sure it became somewhat addictive for some people. And now, today, Meta announce, not today, but this, what was it, last year or this year? Probably last year. They're not fact checking anything anymore on their own platforms. I've written an article about the social media being weaponized out there at exploringminds.net. And there will be other articles on other things, so it's another prime example.
Ran a really great race. I watched the debate. I thought you were excellent. And we have a lot of things in common. We have some.
No, you don't have anything in common with Carney. But what's the buddy up to the successful winner? This is what Trump does. He sees the world as you win or you lose. Losers are losers, winners are winners. Never mind, there's no in between, right? This is why he's addicted to these dictatorship and dodgy leaders across the world. Kim Jong-un, Putin, and these others. Yeah.
Tough points to go over, and that'll be fine. We're going to also be discussing Ukraine, Russia, the war, because Mark wants it ended as quickly as I do. I think it has to end. We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight. And we will honor that. And we will stop the bombings. And they have capitulated, but more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore. And that's what the purpose of what we were doing. So that's just news. We just found out about that. So I think that's very, very positive. They were knocking out a lot of ships going, as you know, sailing beautifully down the various seas. It wasn't just the canal. It was a lot of other places. And I will accept their word, and we are going to stop the bombing of the Houthis, effective immediately. And Marco, you'll let everybody know that, okay? Do you have something to say about that, by the way? It's a pretty big announcement.
Yeah, this was always a freedom of navigation mission. These guys, these are,
Marco is increasingly, his facial expressions, or lack of, just makes it look like his face is about to fall off his head. Particularly at the end of this meeting as well, you'll see that. Hopefully it's in this video. I think there's so many releases of this video as well. Hopefully you got the right one.
band of individuals with advanced weaponry that were threatening global shipping, and the job was to get that to stop. And if it's going to stop, then we can stop. And I think it's an important development.
And we'll have maybe before we're going to, as you know, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. We're going to UAE and Qatar, and that'll be
and you see concern in the way Carly's head is tilted. When you tilt your head, you're listening more, but he is like a bland expression, as well as looking Trump up and down when he talks about that. And we know this plane offer recently as a gift from Qatar. That's interesting to note.
I think it's an important development.
And we'll have maybe before we're going to, as you know, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. We're going to UAE and Qatar, and that'll be
the concerned look up and down, a very stagnant face expression. There's no smile, there's no downturn, there's just a lot of focus, while the head tilt is listening carefully as well as looking at Trump up and down while he's talking about that. Carney's a smart guy, I'm telling you. This is the best thing that. Well done, Canada. But obviously, what drove it was the similarities of the opposition of whatever this idiot was doing. It's like it seemed to be in line with that here and there.
I guess Monday night, some of you are coming with us. I think before then, we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets. And I won't tell you on what, but it's going to, and it's very positive. I'd tell you if it was negative or positive. I can't keep.
The arm flex here is is a little bit more intense, self-soothing there. After the concerning look from Carney, as well as
A very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets. And I won't tell you on what, but it's going to, and it's very positive. I'd tell you it was negative or positive.
see arm flex there, which is I don't know, not too sure what I can read into that other than possibility. I'm not sure. Possibility of Carney was trying to make himself look bigger. It's not something like we do consciously. It's just like when a intelligent, competent individual like this is concerned, they might flex and with making themselves look a bit bigger. Observe people who, if you're going in a restaurant, a public place, the more confident people will take up more space physically than those who are less confident. Alright? You'll see people come in, maybe I take a rucksack with me everywhere. Let's say someone's got a rucksack, backpack, whatever you want to call it, and they put it down perhaps under the chair or between their feet, and they bring whatever they're eating at the restaurant, they collected it and it's very close to them. That's not as competent as somebody who will come in, maybe put their backpack on the table with them, a little bit away from them, and what they drink and a bit spaced out away from them, and they sit with their arms on the arms of the chair. They take up more space automatically. This is not deliberate. They're not conscious of doing this, but it's just something that just happens. Yeah. Regardless of taking up more space, let's play a bit more.
Can't keep that out. It is really, really positive.
I wonder if it's like just the gift of the plane. I mean, that's not really positive, but that's what Trump is. So it's like, as long as he's getting something out of it. Fuck the public, they're not important. He's supposed to be this king of I don't know what. And there's this idea that monarchies are dictatorships. Well, maybe way back when, where it was all kings and castles, might have been true then, but the monarchy in the UK is more like a ritual kind of thing and a tourist attraction now than any dictatorship, and it has been that way for a long time. So again, Trump trying to label himself as some kind of king anyway is a fantasy of dictatorship, but it's not. No, Americans think are told such bullshit, shallow crap that is based on nothing, is based on assumption and superficial nonsense. we're not under a dictatorship in the UK. Some people might argue otherwise, but really, it's nowhere near it, right? You are under a dictatorship in the United States because of this prick and the whole Republican Party that is the swamp and a deep state. Yeah, definitely. So, as Trump is being performative about all this, his torso is still. You got all great announcement to say. It's not leaning towards Carney. His torso, he's bladed towards the cameras. Carney is patiently still waiting. His torso leaning towards Trump, observing Trump. Are we going to get on with it, or is it just, yeah, it's all about Trump? Trump is so fucking pathetic. But the world has to suffer because of this pathetic piece of shit, really. It's sad, isn't it?
And that announcement will be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave. But it'll be one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject. So you'll all be here. Mark, would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat, actually,
I
for the
know.
big announcement.
On the edge of my seat. So hurry up and let's have this conversation instead of you begging for attention, you piece of shit. Ready? And it's a nervous laugh and smile from Carney. He's still self-soothing and interjecting a joke, trying to break the ice. So you can just get on with things, right?
But thank you for your hospitality and a
Right.
Important announcements have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject. So you'll all be here. Mark, would you like to say a few words?
well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat, actually, for the big announcement.
Trump always has to do these power moves, touching. It doesn't work though because he's not a powerful person.
But thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transform.
So he's looking at Trump while saying all this. Torso leaning towards Trump while saying all this. And he looks back around the room and at Trump. Well, Trump's torso is still not really that much leaning towards Carney. He has to move. Trump has to move his head, turn his head more than Carney does, because Trump's more interested in this performative performance in front of the media. Carney's more interested in getting business done or getting talks done, getting politics done, whatever, doing what needs to be done. Doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Transformational president, focus on.
Transformational president. Yeah, again, Carney is really smart and he disses Trump in a number of ways here. Trump's too fucking dumb to know it. Carney knows that. So Carney knows he can do it in this kind of way, which sinks under the radar, if there's any radar, of Trump's mind. Yeah.
Important subject. So you'll all be here. Mark, would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat, actually.
So Carney's eager. You see his shuffle movement there. He leaned in even more. It's like, right, I can get to say my piece now after all this performative crap.
Thank you.
He leaned forward to Trump, but thank you. He would look at him directly. Thank you. Again, the torso movement. See what I mean? It's just, you see where mouse is, his torso here, angling towards Trump. Trump here, angled directly towards the media. Guy's gross, man. It's
for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president.
Yeah, because it helped him win the election in Canada, actually, indirectly. It's not what Trump wanted. And reading into that earlier, it might look like I'm splitting hairs. But, yeah, with the whole context, it's not really... It's highly likely, I think, that Pierre Poilievre was like being heavily influenced by the Trump administration, and Trump wanted Carney to lose. Again, it's very telling of the increased blinking when he's announcing that Carney won. When people increase their blinking, it's anxiety thing or a number of things. It's not. They're not calm about it. There's something that they don't want to be. I'll try to elaborate in other videos about that. It's definitely interesting. And again, Rikita Law, I mentioned when he started fast blinking at one point as well. I might get back to some of those videos soon as well, analysing Monica Rial's body language and Rikita's.
Focus on the economy with less focus on the American worker.
So Trump's like trying to look concerned and nodding yes, but I don't think he gives a shit, and he probably doesn't understand what the hell Carney is talking about. He can't even read. That's very evident. You may as well just have a potato in the Oval Office and Carney talking to a potato, really, and it'd be safer for the world anyway. But that level of lack of neural activity going on, he does this concerned expression, but it's very fixed. It doesn't move, it doesn't change, it doesn't flow.
Securing borders, providing ending the scourge of fentanyl, and other opioids, and securing the world. And I've been elected with my
Carney's body language, I've seen other clips, becomes open and expressive with his hands would gesture. For the most part, Trump isn't. Apart from the accordion hands, classic Trump crap. The accordion hands is when he's feeling under pressure, by the way. Because he likes to show his palms, and it's a very... Well, we'll talk about it a little bit later once he starts doing it.
My colleagues here, with the help of my colleagues here, I'm going to spread the credit. To transform Canada with a similar focus on the economy, securing our borders, again on fentanyl.
So again, he gestures towards Trump. This, and this, fentanyl and all this. As he's gesturing towards him, he's looking at Trump. All while, Trump is just arms in front of his nuts, his hands in front of his nuts, not leaning his torso towards Carney and just nodding. Yeah, that's right, Daddy's kind of attitude. And he has no fucking clue. He's just fake. He's just performing. Whereas Carney's just being grounded in reality. Trump isn't grounded in reality, as we know.
Much greater focus on defense and security, securing the Arctic.
Every time he gestures, security, securing, and looking at Trump directly. Trump leaning forward a bit towards the cameras again and looking, his head's down, but looking towards Carney. That's the whole demeanor is lacking confidence with Carney. He finds Carney, I think, threatening because Carney's so based in what is going on. Carney knows what's going on. Trump doesn't. And it shows with the depth of what Carney is talking about. Carney torso is upright. Trump's leaning, slouching forward with this weak, I'll turn my head down, but I'll look over. It's coy, it's pathetic, it's weak. Whereas Carney's arms are away from his rib cage when he's gesturing out. Trump isn't. His arms are straight by his side and hands again in front of his nuts, and both of them loosely go back to the self-soothing, but for the most part, Trump's never left the self-soothing gesture. Here, I hope you're learning something here. Trump looks up and nods. The way he's looking up is, again, this body language. Open gesturing. Elbow away from the rib cage. But Trump's whole torso, again, during the whole talk from Carney, is towards the cameras. And he turning his head towards Carney in order to make it look like he's listening and taking on things. I don't think he is. He doesn't interject. He's just the nodding, yes, and the looking up, trying to think. And it's just, he doesn't understand what Carney's talking about, I guarantee. But Carney's just doing, the world's watching, and all Carney's got to do is realise that Trump's so low on the fruit tree, the low-hanging fruit, that you don't have to do much. You drop off anyway, right?
And the history of Canada and the U.S.
Nod, nod, nod. But no interjection. And no body language to lean towards. There's nothing about Trump's body language that is more taking on with what Carney's saying. It's just the stiff position that doesn't change much at all. That is, again, it's also aligned with the cameras and the media around. What Carney's isn't is towards Trump. I've got to emphasize that because it's very important. And just the nod, the fixed, the very, very fixed, non-changing, concerned look and nod, nod, nod just seems very scripted to me. It's not, there's nothing that flows from one thing to another here. It's just, Trump hasn't got a damn clue.
We're stronger when we work together.
We're stronger when we work together, and as he's saying that, you got the, just before he's saying that, it's like securing our borders, and he he looks directly at Trump when he's saying that, and Trump's kind of like, yeah, but looks at the ground. To quote Trump, he once said, if you don't have borders, you don't have a country. What happened to that? Oh, it doesn't look too aesthetically appealing with that border. Somebody drew this line. Yeah, that's his level of thinking. Like I said earlier, it's just literally, he thinks it looks better if there wasn't a line there. Of course, America's all about bigger, not looking after quality first. It's like bigger's better. So you got a bigger country when you do that. No, it doesn't. It's not going to work in any reality. It's just a pathetic fantasy. But you got to watch it because idiots like this and the idiocy that it breeds never stop. They play a long idiot game. So you might get like a deal with a piece of Canadian land here and there. Oh, we got this piece. Can we have this as well? Over the years, can we have that, this, and that? Don't let them do that. Don't let them do that. Trump's addicted to that fantasy. Oh, it's going to look nice. It's going to be great because you're going to have this beautiful lakes of Canada and call them the lakes of America. Yeah. No one's going to, for instance, the Gulf of Mexico, no one's going to call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America except Trump and the administration and some MAGA idiots. And what people, Americans, would know about the world generations down has got fuck all to do with what is real in the world, just like North Korea.
Orders again on fentanyl.
Securing the borders, and watch Trump when he's talking about this.
For your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president, focus on the economy with a relentless focus on American worker, securing borders, providing ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and securing the world. And I've been elected with my colleagues here, with the help of my colleagues here. I'm going to spread the credit to transform Canada with similar focus on the economy, securing our borders.
He's here securing the borders again, and he leans back, takes in a deep breath, looks down, and back to pretend to be further listening. He doesn't like doesn't like hearing that, the securing the border thing. Canada's its own sovereign country. Trump, can you fuck off and get out the way of progress for another country? He's got fuck all to do with you. It's a shame there isn't an ocean between Canada and America, because living right next door to this fucking nuthouse is damn right scary. It's gotta be.
Much greater focus on defense and security, securing the Arctic, developing the Arctic. And
he doesn't know what that means. He doesn't know why you would be doing all that.
The history of Canada and the US is we're stronger when we work together.
Stronger when we work together. At that moment, Trump looks up, sort of nodding and looking down and looking away. Nod, 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 nod. We're stronger when we work together. And it's like direct eye contact there. But still, his whole torso, his body, hasn't even moved. It's just this turn the head and nod and trying to look concerned, and for the most part. Whereas Carny's body language is open. He gestures and he goes back to his self-soothing in between these gestures. He's again leaning towards Trump. He's got depth of things to say, where Trump, everything he blurts out is very superficial, shallow, no depth, and very lacking of credible information that you could really go on that has anything to do with the real world, right? And that's Trump talk, because he always talks that way.
Many opportunities to work together, and I look forward to addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas.
Yeah, an open body language, addressing some of those issues that we have, and nod, nod, nod. Yeah, I know. he's so insecure. Yeah, it's unreal. Yeah. Slouch forward, he hasn't even moved at all.
We'll cooperate so we can move
Great.
forward.
That's great. Very nice. Thank you.
Now comes the performative. That's great. Thank you so much. Do the handshake and perform for the camera. He took none of it on. Yeah, he just let's perform.
Very much. It's very nice.
Wow, I mean, seriously, again. Trump, we're looking up towards the cameras, and it's looking, it's a little bit straighter there. But again, the torso towards the cameras. Carny's torso towards Trump. Bladed towards. Carny shakes a hand. Kind of a grin. But refraining from saying anything. There's something he might want to say. But he's holding it in for now. Maybe he wants to say it later. Because, when people generally... if you compress your lips, you're holding some information back. But it's the eyes. That's the smiling eyes. Smart guy. He knows people are going to look at this later and think, yeah.
No, it was actually very effective.
This whole thing, I've yet to see Trump lean his torso towards Carney at all. He's not interested in having Carney there. Not really. Performatively, he wants you to think that way, and performatively pretend to be interested and pay attention. But really, the torso alignment is very telling. The leg pointing, we can't see what the feet are doing, but generally you can imagine that is aligned with the cameras in front. With Carney's, some leg alignment is, again, towards where Trump is. So where people's feet point is where they want to go. Feet point in the direction the mind wants to go. And if you can practice, maybe if you got a digital watch that beeps, you can set it like beep on the hour every hour. I know that annoys some people. People, oh, we're one of those, are you? That beep beep every hour. So, some people have a kind of phobia of people doing that. I found I don't do it as much, but it's something I might start doing. Maybe put a timer on my mobile phone and feel that, put it on vibrate. It's a good practice to have the beep and then think about what your body language is doing. If you find somebody across the room attractive and you're sat, maybe it's in a restaurant and there's different customers coming and going, and there's customer just ahead of you sits and you think, ooh, he's nice, she's nice, whoever. Just generally, just normal attraction. Chances are, almost unconsciously, your feet will point in that direction. Not in a stalker kind of way, you're not gonna like stare at them and point everything towards the direction, whatever. But with the beeping every hour on the hour, let it be your cue to analyze your body language and think about what your feet are doing, or just think about the whole body, what you're doing. If you think you're a bit tense, or like loosen your shoulders down, take a deep breath or whatever. Just self-analysis is good for self-maintenance. But self-observation could teach you more about body language as well in that kind of way. Reading people, is one thing, and reading your own is another thing. Doing cues yourself, deliberately, consciously, to get another person to open up and feel more comfortable with you is another thing. Vanessa Van Edwards talks about that in her book called Cues. So look up Vanessa Van Edwards, her work on body language, who started off in life as very socially awkward, which got spiked her interest. How are these people confident with other people, and what should she do, what is she doing wrong, and so on. Yeah, great. It was a good turnaround for her life for that. Very interesting.
Effective. And it's still very effective, but people have to follow it. So, that's been the problem. People haven't followed it. But it was a transitional step a little bit. And as you know, it terminates fairly shortly. It gets renegotiated very shortly. But I thought it was a very positive step from NAFTA. NAFTA was the worst trade deal in the history of our country, probably in the history of the world. And this was
I just want to look up that transition something over, and NAFTA, NAFTA. That would be American trade deal, and let me see. Just looking up something first. Trump looks up the ground a lot between what he's saying. It's a sure sign of someone who's disingenuous and doesn't know what they're talking about. There's superficial, bit of a liar. Yeah, look at those arms very close to the sides. His carny is like when he was gesturing with one of his arms, it's like that elbow's away from the ribs. That's a sign that he's more confident than Trump, definitely. And because you're not protecting yourself physically. Again, it's not like you're expecting to be hitting the ribs, but a lot of the body language, again, is influenced by a more primitive side that is also influenced by our earliest origins. How we interacted with tribes, one tribe discovering another will have body language traits that are lacking confidence around another, just in case they're a threat. Or are they a threat? Once they get used to each other, you get more confident with each other, these body language cues would change to more confident body language cues. Yeah. Let me see. I'm going to look up NAFTA later anyway. Maybe I'll do a part 2 of this.
transitional deal, and we'll see what happens. We're going to be starting to possibly renegotiate that if it's even necessary. I don't know that it's necessary anymore.
Trump uses a few superficial words here and there, and he doesn't tell you anything. Transitional thing. Just listen to this shit.
Terminates fairly shortly. No, it was actually very effective. And
it was very effective. How was it effective? Why and how?
Still very effective, but
still very effective. It was effective. Still very effective.
People have to follow it. So that's
so very effective. You have to follow it because it's
been a problem. People haven't followed it.
The dude may as well just sit there and go blah 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 blah, because he doesn't tell you anything at all. He just references things that he lacks understanding of, but he knows they exist. Oh, I'm going to talk about that. It's just like his usual. We got the best deals, only the best deals. I make the best deals, or he's talking about some group that are working on something. Got the best people working on this. It's going to be great for America, and it's a perfect example of the best people we got in America. It's going to be great. We're going to make America great again. It's just words. It's just it's not even fancy, complicated references that would need fancy, complicated words. It's just very, very low grade. It's just he tells you nothing. The IQ level is in the minuses, yeah. As a metaphor, just.
But it was a transitional step.
It was transitional. It was just like saying, "We're gonna make America great again." Is it going to change? It was great. It's transitional. The blah blah. He just talks a lot of shit.
A little bit. And as you know, it terminates fairly shortly. It gets renegotiated very shortly. But I thought it was a very positive step from NAFTA. NAFTA was the worst trade deal in the history of our country, probably in the history of the world. And this was a transitional deal.
Transitional deal. It was a great deal. It was great. It's the best deal. So transitional.
We'll see what happens. You know, we're going to be starting to possibly renegotiate that if it's necessary.
It's going to be renegotiate. Can't even say it myself. My brain's shutting down. And renegotiated that. Going to renegotiate it, and it's going to be great. I'm going to see if we're going to have to do that. Blah blah blah. What did you learn? Nothing, right? Not a damn thing. What do you learn when Carney starts talking? Probably quite a bit.
I don't know that it's necessary anymore, but it served a very good purpose. And the biggest purpose it served was we got rid of NAFTA. NAFTA was a very unfair deal for the United States. Very, very terrible deal. It should have never been made. It was made many years ago, but it should have never been made. Yeah.
United States, would you like to see your first trade deal be with Canada? Our neighbors in the world?
I would love that. Look, I have a lot of respect for this man. And
Why? He's looking at the ground, not at Carney. He just loosely gestures to this man. What was his arm moved there? I think he might have been gesturing to Carney. Looking at the ground while saying that, it looks very disingenuous. He doesn't respect Carney. He's other than respecting somebody who's winning. He doesn't like Carney, but he likes to buddy up with leaders who are winners in the eyes of the world, because it makes him look better. In his worldview, it makes him look better, but the world doesn't think much of him at all.
But it should have never been made.
Canada and the United States, would you like to see your first trade deal be with Canada? Our neighbors in the world?
I would love that. Look, I have a lot of respect for this man.
I have a lot of respect for this man. I'm going to look at the floor and think that through, because I don't really. Better honest gesture would be a lot of respect for this man while looking at people while saying it. Eye contact and so on. Maybe even look at Carney.
And I watched him come up.
Still looking at the grain while talking.
In a sense, through the ranks.
Through the ranks and looking, the very brief looking at the people while he's talking and looking down again. Not genuine. He's just we all know he's a liar. Trump's mouth opens, and how do you know he's lying? Because his mouth is open. Yeah, it's Trump, so go figure. And that's not. I don't know. I mean, look at the crap that's gone on over the years with this idiot, and it's just so ridiculous. He doesn't know anything about the real world in any substantial level that should be required for a president. He knows a lot about his fantasies of superiority, but that doesn't work in reality.
He wasn't given much of a chance, and he ran a really great campaign. He did a really great debate. I think that debate was very helpful. I was going to raise my hand. You know, I don't know if that's good or bad. I shouldn't say that. That might hurt you. But no, he ran a really great election, I thought. And yeah, something could happen. Something could happen. Yeah, please.
What's the top concession you want out of Canada? The top concession you want out of Canada?
Concession?
Yes,
Friendship.
but that's not a concession.
No, we're going to be friends with Canada. Regardless.
We want to be friends with Canada, but we want to annex Canada. You can't, can't have it both ways. But, you know, it just looks more aesthetically appealing if you get rid of that line, right? Fucking idiot. The only reason, you know, friends to him is just, again, like any narcissist is just people you use. Things you use, tools you use. Not, like I've said previously on another video, if a friend of mine done some ridiculous things that put them in a silly situation, others around them in a detrimental situation as well, I would be slating them immediately. Because a narcissist would probably think, you can't do that to your friends if that's your friend. What you mean? Because they think friends are just people you use, rather than the feedback loop I talked about is help me so that I can reciprocate and be in a better position to help you back, so that you can be in a better position to help me back, and we'll do teamwork to help each other progress. Trump doesn't want that. He just wants everything to be all about him. And look, Canada's the lakes of America now, or whatever he wants to call Canada. If the fantasy ever became a reality, but it's not going to. Certainly not while Carney is in power. Just what a fucking idiot! Yeah, seriously, what a joke.
Regardless of anything, we're going to be friends with Canada. Canada is a very special place to me.
Here we go. Looking at the ground again, we're going to be friends with Canada because we want Canada to be part of the United States, because that would look not so nice on a map. Guy's a child. He really is fucking bizarre. And again, looking down again while claiming we want to be friends. No, he wants Canada. He doesn't want to be friends. He's saying he wants to be friends because he wants Canada. He's not saying he wants to be friends because he wants to be friends and do good trades with Canada. He rose the tariffs that made it difficult for Canada to start with. That's not a friend. That's not an ally. The whole world, the whole geopolitical landscape changing because it's not over with Trump. If America produces idiots like Trump, and it will, and it does, there's a lot of idiots like Trump in America who are not in power, but you know, you think get rid of him, there's another idiot behind him. Because of that, America cannot be trusted as an ally, a friend, somebody to cooperate with at all, and the world recognizes this. The whole geopolitical landscape changing, and other countries trading and doing deals with other countries that leave America out of the loop. He doesn't understand any of that. He doesn't understand the depth of that. Carney does. The whole Trump administration is so fucking backward. It's like, where are the raw materials going to come from to manufacture things in the United States? You have mines? No, not as much. It's like, I think you build a factory and, put machines in and put people in there, and suddenly it produces something. No, it doesn't work that way. But there's so many layers more complexity where that come from. So I'm going off on a bit of a tangent, trying not to. So moving forward.
I know so many people that live in Canada. My parents had relatives that lived in Canada.
Keeps looking down in between saying all this. It's just, and so many people kind of look down. It's like, it's a sign in body language of disingenuous dishonesty. And I think it's just a level of idiocy. When you get the level of idiocy from Trump, you end up being more like a pathological liar. You just have to lie your ass off all the time.
My mother in particular.
And looks down again.
No, I love Canada. I have a lot of
down again.
Respect for the Canadians. Wayne Gretzky. I mean, how the great one. You happen to have a very, very good hockey player right here on the Capitals, who I have a lot of. He is a big, tough cookie too. Just broke the record, and he's a great guy. And we had the team here, and I got to know a lot of the players. But now Canada is a very special place. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, I'd like to get your response to this too. Mr. President, you have said that Canada should become the 51st state.
No. Well, I still believe that, but.
There you go. I still believe that, but let's be friendly with Canada first, so we can do that later, right? That doesn't mean you're going to be friends with Canada, because Canada isn't going to allow that.
But takes two to tango, right? But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens.
So how it would be a tax cut, I don't know, because raising tariffs, which is a tax, causing your citizens to pay extra. This is what how does that work? He doesn't even say how that would be a thing. Because he doesn't know, because it's just more rhetoric to pull those emotional strings, because he doesn't know, he ain't got a clue. He just wants Canada because it looks more better on a map if that border, that line, the border between America and Canada wasn't there. It just looks better, right? So he's going to blurt out, oh, it'd be better for Canada because of tax cuts. Yeah. How about America fixes its shit before it tries to take over other countries and take that shit and ruin those countries as well? You're going to really feel it by the end of this month and early next month, by the way. Good luck. You'll be lucky to put, some families are going to be lucky to they can stick a meal on the table, really, in America. And nobody wants to be part of that. Fuck off. Seriously, again, get out of the way of progress. The majority of the world wants democracy. Democracy doesn't fail. It gets lazy and allows dictatorship here and there. It's not a failure. It's a product of human naivety against human corruption. That's how dictatorships rise and fall.
You get free military, you get tremendous.
Free military doesn't make any sense. It doesn't tell you why or how that's going to work. Who are you going to have free military from? No military is free. You can't. You know, it doesn't work that way. Regardless. Moving on.
Medical cares and other things. There'd be a lot of
Medical care. A country who's fucked its medical care up. It's like, oh, we'll make our country even bigger, and that bigger part, of that we're gonna own, will have great medical care. Huh? Yeah. Of course, American citizens, there's been a large attempt to brainwash American citizens into thinking that socialism, like a socialized healthcare system, is communism. Or any level of socialism is communism. No, it's not. There's a bit of my wage that gets taken out. If I earn enough above a certain amount, it gets taxed to national insurance, which means I get healthcare. Sure, the NHS, National Health Service, is suffering and has its issues in the UK, fallen from a former glory. However, it's a socialised healthcare system, which means I don't have to pay extortionate amounts of money to lose. It's just because the cost is spread over anybody who's working that earns enough to get taxed to fund the NHS, which is a non-profit organisation. Alright. As alien to America, non-profit? How do you maintain something? Oh, go fucking hell. Yeah.
advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut. And it's also beautiful. You know, as a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart.
I'm a real estate developer. No, you was given buildings, and it's just
When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago like a ruler.
No, also not true. Have a look at the New York area. I mean, a large part of the line isn't straight anyway, it's very curved. Have a look around New York and Canada area, the borderline around there. It's jagged, there's ups and downs, it's not a straight line.
A straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic.
Here we go, the accordion hands. Trump does this when he feels under pressure, but look at the arms again. Right next to the rib cage. And it's like, look, I'm not trying to fool anyone, there's no tricks here. So he offers, that's what the body language is saying. It's like, honest, showing the palms. So you show your palms is like, look, no weapons. And then the very next thing he says, we'll go back to lying again. Then you try to do damage control again. Say, no, it's okay, trust me. Then you go back to lying again. And then you go back into, no, trust me, it's to show the palms again. This is why Donald Trump's accordion hands thing is so consistent, because he's a consistent liar, a consistent con artist, consistent pathological liar, consistently full of shit. And you cannot be trusted. Now, you might get why he does that.
Person. But when I looked at that view, I said that. That's the way it was meant to be. But yeah.
No, it's not why it's meant to be. Canada's meant to be Canada. what the fuck America is, I don't know if you would really call it a country, really, but there we go.
You know, it's, I do feel it's,
Hey, Carney. He's pissed off. Carney, control yourself. He's got a lot of self-control, but watch Carney.
straight line right across the top of the country.
Never smile,
When you look at that beautiful
because it sounds ridiculous.
formation,
Looks down and closes his eyes. A bit of a sigh, I think, and thinking, "Oh, here we go again." And looks back at Trump,
when it's together.
and then he looks in the deadpan face. That look is like, guy's an idiot. And yes, Trump is an idiot. It's just,
I'm a very artistic person.
like, can we get on with things? Discussion with more important things. Carney is thinking at this point. I think, again, the whole thing, Carney leaning towards Trump. His torso, his blading. Where Trump's just flat with, hey, there's cameras here. I'll be facing the cameras because this is all about me. Carney wants a discussion that is serious about real things. Trump wants the fantasy-driven fucking bullshit put out there that somehow he's gonna own Canada someday.
But when I looked at that beauty, I said that that's the way it was meant to be. But you know, it's,
Carney starts torso upright, chest out. It's like kind of he's on defense and compressing while doing so, compressing his lips. He wants to say something. He probably wants to say, "Shut the fuck up" about this. He's far more controlled and intelligent than that. But don't matter how intelligent you are or controlled you are, the control will express itself in things like compressing the lips, right? Holding back what you really want to say.
I do.
And it's like back, torso up, chest out. It's like, fuck, here we go again. And slouching down. It's like, when will he shut up about this? It's like, it's like, oh, not again. Can we get on with something that's more important? Because these childlike fantasies are never going to happen. So he's looking ahead now, Carney. Like, staring into space with, I can't believe this.
Do feel it's
And the jaw movement there is like, he's generally pissed off at
much better for Canada.
Trump.
But
Now he has to interject.
we're not going to be
Wants to interject. But Trump won't stop talking about this.
discussing that unless somebody.
And again, the flex of the arm there again, or from Carney, making himself look a bit bigger temporarily. It's like, hey, but also it's like, hey, over here, can we get on with this conversation? Well, Trump attention is the media and others around him instead of Carney. Trump doesn't like Carney. He doesn't like the fact that Carney won, but he likes. It's paradoxical, I think, because he likes to surround himself with winners to in his fantasy, his worldview. It's like, oh, that makes him look better. It doesn't, because he's such a loser that it makes him look even more of a loser around people like Carney anyway. And I don't really call Kim Jong-un as a winner. A true winner is those who help the success of their citizens or other fellow human beings, raising all ships together peacefully and cooperatively. Trump doesn't do that. Never done such things in his life, by the looks of things.
He wants to discuss it.
So the twitching of the arm there again.
But when I looked at that view, I said that's the way it was meant to be. But you know, I do feel it's much better for Canada.
Closes his eyes there as well. Carney does.
That line many years ago looked like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that
artistic person, yeah. I think that's what they call a bullshit artist.
You know, I said that's the way it was meant to be. But you know,
This is also up. Coda's back. Deep breath. Here we go again, and then Carney slouches afterwards.
I do feel it's much better for Canada. But we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that
not going to be discussing that, and Carney nodded in agreement there. Subtle yes. Like, everybody really wants to move on with conversation that matters. Trump's too self-interested.
There are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens.
So we're not going to be discussing that. Right, let's get on. And then he goes, oh, there are tremendous benefits, as Carney's like looking down. Nose rub. It's like, oh, we said we weren't going to talk. Carney's just very impatient here. And what, of course, you would be, wouldn't you? Oh, we're not discussing that, but what about this, about that? You know, it would look great and so on, but we're not going to talk about it. Well, shut up then and talk about what matters.
Tremendously low.
While he's talking, blah, 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 it's almost like he forgets in certain points that Carney's even there, by the way. And even this far in, nearly halfway through, Carney has always had his body, torso leaning, aligned in towards Trump's direction. And his hip ratio, his legs are pointing in Trump's direction. Trump's legs are pointed forward towards the media. His torso is pointing towards the media. His hands had never really left between his legs much, other than when he talks about the line, the borderline. Very insecure and begging and groveling for attention from the media rather than actually doing business.
Lower taxes, free military, which
and Carney did a subtle yes-no body language thing there. It's like a circular like movement of the head. It's like, and when I've done that, and I feel like, yeah, let's get, okay, yeah, I'm not really agreeing with you, but yeah, fine, let's move on. So you're saying yes and no at the same time, because you get that subtle circle going on. Like, move on. This is part one. I'm going to leave this as part one. The sun is setting, I'm getting tired, and I'm going to have a bite to eat and just chill before I head off to bed. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm going to put this out part one, probably finish in part two. I don't think this is going to be any bigger than 2 parts. Thank you very much for watching. Well done, Carney, for such self-control. Trump, fuck off again and get out of the way of progress. You're nothing but a fucking turd. I mean, who the fuck paints himself orange and you look disgusting? You're obese, you're weak, you're pathetic, and you're a problem for the rest of the world. Get out of the way of progress. Get out of the fucking way. Seriously. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.